Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of the Big Apple Battle, a New York baseball podcast. And Ed, we have a very, very special edition of the BAB tonight. I know we foreshadowed this in our episode that we released earlier this week, but this is rivalry week. This is Subway Series week. Ed, I'll tell you one thing. I'm sure you and your fellow Yankee fans are itching for a win because you haven't beat the Mets since 2023, if I'm not mistaken, considering we swept you guys in the Subway Series last year. That's a great way to start, no?
Oh, wow. That's what you're coming at me with. I see what you're doing. It's
We're no
okay.
longer friends. No longer friends. We said that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But, the reality of it all is the all-time record is still in our favor with, I believe, an 80 and 59 record all-time against you guys. So you have ways to go before you can catch up. So what, 6 games a year? Average that out. You're still 21 behind. So if you're lucky, maybe in the next decade you'll catch up at that pace. But yeah, just gonna say, yeah, keep hanging on your hat on recent memory. You guys aren't going anywhere.
Well, it's funny you say that because I feel like Yankee fans, man, you guys love to look at 27 rings, look at the past, look at the past. But what have you done for me lately? That is the question, no?
I mean, we went to the World Series. What did you guys do last year?
All right, yeah, I guess
I'll
I just
trade those
put my foot in my
losses.
mouth. I mean, against us. Yeah, you went to the World
That
Series.
makes you feel better.
Uh,
That's fine. Which calls into question the whole charade of this thing. But hey, let's let the Mets fans have it this year. You're feeling good. Your guy's returning to his old stomping grounds. Well, a place that he mostly tap danced around for a little bit. But yeah, you guys are coming into the big house, the cathedral, the stadium, baby. You ready?
We're ready. And I know there won't be any light shows or any good food for the fans. So hopefully the Mets put on a show on the field so people could actually enjoy something at that
Oh, wow.
pretty crappy ballpark you have over there in the Bronx.
Well, we're
So,
all about the laser show with our league leading in home runs. I think we're at 74, 75, something like that. And I do want to actually say quickly, because I do feel like we didn't get into the nitty gritty enough on my stadium, breakdown. And I want to make it
mhm.
quick because we're here for different reasons today. But I do want to make it quick, and I'm defending it. First of all, Alec, it's
Okay.
Yankee Stadium. Yankee, not Yankees Stadium. Yankee Stadium. A stadium for a Yankee, okay? Just to
Okay.
clarify, just
Okay. Thanks for
clarify
letting me
that,
know.
all right?
Okay.
Important information. And beyond that, what I wanted to say is the light shows, all of those things, right? That's not what you want to come there for. That's not what you're going to the ballpark for. You're not there for the light shows. It's no different from any other sporting event if that's what you're there for. You come to the ballpark and you want to have, you want to know that that team has history. You want to find heroes past and present for fans young and old. You want to highlight the history. You want to create that lore, that excitement that brings you to the ballpark and says, "Oh, I want to be at this cathedral, right? That I call Yankee Stadium. That I want to be at this place that is hallowed ground. Even if it only has one World Series as opposed to the 26 that were at the old ballpark, it still feels like that. City Field can have all the lights, fireworks, gimmicks it wants, but in reality, they're present everywhere. It's a professional wrestling event. You're not getting anything special or,
Listen.
or
I hear your
new. You got rid of your
spiel,
Hall of
your
Fame. You
TED
got rid of
talk.
your
I
Hall
hear
of
you.
Fame. That was a great part of your ballpark. It's
I don't
gone.
disagree with
We
that.
have
That
all of
is.
that. You have a great history, but you don't showcase it for what? For what? All just for the gimmicks to get people in and, or again, prove
Listen,
that
Ed,
the sad, sour capitalist
I'm
structure
gonna
we're
I'm
all a
gonna
part
cut
of.
you off here because you're being very one-dimensional here. Because yes, it's not about the light show. It's not about the Bronx Giraffe tripping and falling in the outfield in the seventh inning.
Stop
It's
hating on that giraffe.
well, I thought you hate him
I
because
do.
of
It's a
what he
poor
stands for.
representation. Very rude, but I feel
But
bad for him now.
the light shows, the cool intro when an opposing pitcher is coming out of the bullpen, the fireworks on the home run, the apple. Yes, that's all good and great. But deep down, us diehards, and now I'm defending my position here. We don't go for that. It's just an added bonus, and we know it's feels good when we're playing well and you get this awesome atmosphere alongside good baseball. It makes you want to come to the ballpark more. And yes, it brings in casuals and brings in the people running on the field and getting arrested and the drunks throwing beer on the field. Like we've covered plenty on the podcast who I don't want to see in my ballpark. But the point is it is an added bonus and you're separating the two. I'm not saying we go for that. I'm just saying it's nice to have that when you're winning and you're playing great baseball and you lead the NL East.
It's a good point. Oh, nice way to throw that one in there.
Thank you.
And we also lead the AL East, so there you go. That's not saying much
Respect.
because we're all just beating the hell out of each other. But yes, you guys are tied for best record. Hopefully not after tonight. However, all I'm going to say is if you need to get that hyped for your team with that kind of stuff, you probably should just go watch from home. Because what's the point of going out to the ballpark if you're not there for the right reasons? And to defend the beer stuff a little bit. The Yankee Stadium beer shower has become something that's a little absurd, but also sometimes really fun to be a part of when you're out in the bleachers Kind of
Oh, I actually
grotesque and
wasn't even
not as
talking
like
about
family
that.
environment. No, no, I know. I just wanted to throw that in there. It reminded me of something else. But
Oh,
no,
oh, I
throwing
thought
beer
you.
on the
Oh,
field is
gotcha,
completely
gotcha.
different. Completely
Yeah,
different.
I'm like, since when do you support that?
No, I am not supporting of that. But I'm not even a big fan of the beer showers. It does seem absurd. Like, why are you wasting all this beer? But there is something to the spectacle of it all. You know, it feels like snow in July or October, I should say.
You hear that, Bud Light? We do not waste beer on the BAB. Come out and sponsor us.
Got it. Damn right. Damn straight. We got our priorities straight out
Snag.
here.
But you know what, Ed? I think we really set the stage here. I mean, this is what the BAB is all about. This is what the Subway Series is about. It is the back and forth banter, it is the camaraderie. It is about New York baseball and the passion behind not only the teams, the fan base, and what it means to the city, but what it means to MLB as a whole. When the Mets play good, then the Yankees play good. It's just a good thing for baseball. It's a good thing for MLB. It's a good thing for expanding the game outside of just the U.S. As you know, I mean, we are two big what's the words eluding me, but two
Two big
well,
market teams.
yes, yeah.
That's a good one.
Long day. It's been a long day.
Listen, it's
Two,
a, it's a long.
Long day. We also got the Knicks playing, and I just want to interrupt by saying,
please.
while we're here arguing, we can all unite over these Knicks, and they're playing Boston. So no one's got any love for Boston on this side of town, or in any part of this town at least. So we can all come together and know that there is one blue and orange team that we can all support. So
The,
just
the
saying, they're going
timing
for
works
the
out
game
well
five
for
win
that,
out
right?
here. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
A way to
Just
bring the
need to
city
throw that in there.
together. It's going to bring the city together tonight, hopefully, and then we all divide and split up again on Friday.
The
Kind of,
timing
it's a
is so
nice
weird. I know
balance.
it's
Weird timing.
disturbing. Like there's got to be a game being played. Well, no, hopefully this doesn't work out. But if there were a Knicks game being played during any one of those three games, how weird would that be, right? You got everybody rooting for one team, and then the rest of the stadium is split. You know what I mean? You got like you'll see guys like watching their Knicks or Rangers or whoever while they're at a Yankee game or at a Mets game. They'll throw it on the side depending on playoffs, whatever big game is happening.
Oh yeah, a
So
hundred percent.
that would
So
just be a weird vibe. So, but we're not hoping for that. We got to close them out tonight.
exactly, and that's we want everyone. I actually want that because I don't even want the players thinking about that. I want them locked in and ready to go come Friday.
Damn
Um,
straight.
so with that in mind, Ed, I think the big thing I want to touch on first, to really again set the stage here, is one, just check in on how we're doing. I know we talked a few days ago. It's only been what, 2 games, 3 games since then. Just our current series. I know the Mets are playing the Pirates at home. You guys are finishing up the West Coast trip against the Mariners, or you did today, and I think you
Oh
guys
yeah,
won
baby.
the series, right?
Feeling much better than I was just a couple hours ago. Big comeback win
Yeah,
to
saw
send us
that.
home. Happy flight, happy night.
That's it. Hey, what did we talk about the other night? The happy flight matters. Now I'm afraid about that. And now it's working in my favor. I'm afraid of the happy
Well, you don't
flight
have
'cause
to
the
fly
Yankees
anywhere.
are
You're
flying
lucky.
happy. No, but you guys are flying happy.
We're flying happy. You might just be taking a sad cross trip,
Well,
town car.
I don't think it'll be sad either way. I know tonight, the Mets are down 2-0. It's early. It's only the fourth inning. But again, we're playing with house money. We already swept the series. I mean, excuse me, won the
Uh-huh.
series.
Oh, now you're screwed. Billy
Always
Falter's gonna
Ed
make
always
sure you
hanging
guys
on all of
falter in
my
the last
words,
game.
of course. But yeah, we won the first 2 games of the series. It wasn't pretty. We didn't play well in terms of hitting with runners in scoring position once again. But the pitching again continues to hold up. The Pirates are also an abysmal offensive team, especially with O'Neal Cruz on the lineup. So what we're doing right now, we won the first 2 games in tight margins, one on a walk-off in game one. Last night, we just squeaked by with my man Brett Beatty staying hot, hitting his fourth home run in, I think, 5 games now. Ed, dare I say, Brett Beatty is here? We've been waiting. I've been waiting.
Master Beatty coming for
So
you.
so we'll see what happens, at that small ballpark out in the Bronx. And maybe Beatty could get a few more under his belt because it's my nephew could hit a home run there. So with
Well,
that,
you're all welcome to try. That's why you're all having such great success this year. You forget that our pitching staff does a really good job mitigating those home runs, and in most of the alleys, you're going to have a very hard time with Trent Grisham, Big Daddy Grish, the
yeah.
center of that trade a
Well, I
couple
guess
years ago,
that's a good segue
trolling
into
center.
not only key narratives, X factors, and just keys to victory. I don't think we needed to hang much on our current series. Ed, we both won the series. Whatever happens, for the remainder of this game tonight is just again gravy on top for the Mets. But regardless, we are going into the Subway Series both winning 3 series in a row, so that's exciting. Both leading our divisions. So I mean, it couldn't be a better time to play each other, and that is a good segue, Ed, into what are both teams fighting for? I want to start out there. Just key narratives, one-liners, right? So you're going to hate this. I know most Yankee fans are going to hate this. Mets fans might love this. And that's why I'm saying it. But I don't think we could say there was a big brother, little brother dynamic anymore. It does not feel like it did in the early 2000s, you know, or
Well, because you
2010s.
recall also strongly the early 2000s.
Yeah,
Yes.
2010s. I do.
Really had your finger
I
on the
was
pulse of
old
the
enough,
town.
Ed. All right, you're just aging yourself now. That's all right. But listen, it's different now, man. I simply don't care about that, and you guys might, but I simply just want the Mets to win and continue to show, yes, we could beat the Yankees, we could beat good teams, but also specifically beat teams again with a 500 plus record, which I know we are talking to on a previous episode in terms of, Mets strength versus teams 500 plus. You had a gripe with that. My point is, I don't care about the big brother, little brother dynamic. I don't care much about the rivalry. I want to look at it as Juan Soto looks at it and how he told reporters the other night. It's just another series where we have to go out there and try to win the game. I'm above all of that now, Ed, because the Mets are here to stay and we are not little brothers. We are equals in the city and we're going to trump that hopefully soon.
It's a great way to set yourselves up for sure failure. That way, you don't have to feel badly if things don't go your way. You don't have to set yourselves up for all the hype and excitement and oh, Soto's returning to the Bronx and all these things that could go
Well, I'm
wrong.
not
Now you're saying,
diminishing that.
no, you're not diminishing it, but now you can say, oh, now all these things that could go wrong, if they do go wrong, I'm not so worried about it. We're not in the same position we once were. We're not so desperate. That's great. I understand. However, it still is the general tone of your fan base, including, let's be honest, Alex, sometimes you are fighting for that. We're not little brother anymore. You say you don't care, but I think it's
We
only
don't.
just I think it's just what you're saying when you're coming into this. Also, how you guys feeling after again talking about beating all this quality competition coming into this series, but now you play the Pirates, you're struggling today, your offense struggle kind of all around. You did talk all this smack about, oh, we have a great record against teams over 500.
They're
You
not over 500. There you
they're
go.
not. I'm saying they're not over 500. So my point is, so you're playing down. I get your point. My point is, I
No,
do
no.
think that this is an overstatement by you and your fan base because the reality is, I think you care way more than we have. You just mentioned it leading off, right? We haven't won since 2023. That's not even on Yankee fans' radar. It's not even a thing. I keep calling that to attention because until that actual vibe and that tide does shift, until you guys win something important or really take over, I think you're always going to feel a little bit like the little
But
brothers.
listen, Ed, it's not on your Yankee fan radar, and I respect you as a Yankee fan, and I have a few other friends I respect as Yankee fans. But then I have other friends who are also Yankee fans who are the most obnoxious Yankee fans, and they know if they're listening, they know who I'm talking about. I love them, but fuck them when it comes to the Yankees and Mets banter because it to them they'll hang on every single win, every single Subway Series um,
Yeah, because it
moment
pisses you off.
because
That's the
they
reality.
know,
They
yeah,
know it pisses you off.
pokes the bear, gets under the skin. We all know that.
Exactly. And we'll all do it. That's the Yankee fan ethos. It's like we don't need to really gloat, but if you're going to make us, we will.
But even if I'm making you, that's what happens now. I'm sitting today, right? I'm working and I look in my group chat and it's Trent Grisham's over Juan Soto or this guy's over Juan Soto. I'm not even saying anything.
I mean,
They
that
poked the bear. You guys
those are
poked the bear now.
those are pure facts, though. I mean, the stats prove it. Big Daddy Grish with 2 home runs in the series opener. We talked about him in Seattle. Sorry, we talked
Quarter
about him
way
during
through.
that
Quarter way
recording.
through,
So
Ed.
I'm just saying, Big Daddy Grish has got a career high in home runs already, or damn near nearing it with 12. And yeah, already beat his total of last year. Guys just waiting to break out. So he's a first round draft pick, man. You never know. Maybe he is. Maybe it's just his time.
Yeah, but one
He needed some time to think about that.
I
I
did.
get it.
You
I
stumped
understand.
me. But hey, all I'm saying is it's quarter way through the season. Wait till we're halfway through and then come talk to me about Grisham versus Soto stats. And right now, Soto in the month of May is hitting 290 with an OPS above 1,000 again. And yes,
Oh, that's
still
nice.
not.
In the month of May, this is what Grisham's done for the whole first quarter of the season. First quarter of the
I'm not going
season,
to
my
argue the
friend.
stats. Yes, he has better stats than Juan Soto. Yes, I get it. But no, I don't believe that they're going to stick and look like this by the end of the season. And I hope you don't believe that either. If you do, I think you are now, Ed, categorized as a delusional Yankee fan because there's no way Grisham's going to have a better 162 than Juan Soto. Come on.
To succeed in life, you need a level of delusion. I'm just going to say that. But this
That's
is
fair.
not one of those delusional moments, and this is just something I'm going to say as well. Something that I know we don't. I don't love the whole idea of, oh, let's coordinate our chants and how we receive our players or bash other ones. So, but this one's actually pretty clever. So I'll give a little credit where it's due. I think John Boy Media came out with this one where they said what we should just do is say we got Grisham, not boo Juan Soto or anything like that, or hate on Juan Soto or F Juan Soto, which I agree with. Don't do that. That's nonsensical. But
It's going to
instead
happen
of
though.
saying anything like that, I might. But the best thing they could do is say, "We got Grisham," right? Like that's what you want. Like that's a good dig. That's a good way to support your team without being, I think nasty about it. So I'm
Well,
all on board for that. We'll see how it goes.
I was listening to Evan Roberts too, and he was talking about this isn't good. Definitely has less of a chance of happening than them booing Han Soto. But imagine a standing ovation for bringing you guys to the World Series and having such a great season. Do you think that? Do you think? I
No,
know
get
what you're
out of
gonna
here with
say. You
that.
don't think
Get
that's
out
gonna
of here with
happen? You
that.
don't think there's any Yankee
Absolutely
fans?
not.
Well, I would be there giving him a standing ovation as a
I'll
diehard Mets
cheer
fan.
for him. I'll give him a little bit of a cheer. I'll give him like, hey man, like listen, we get it. But at the end of the day, the way he ended the season
I
with the
get it.
turning the
Yeah,
hat on that stage, I don't think there's a lot of love lost, and I don't think anybody should be giving him all the flowers. He
also,
didn't
you
get us
guys,
there. He was a part of the reason we got there.
and it's different
Giancarlo
if you.
Stanton is the real reason we got to the World Series.
That's fair, but I mean, yes, he had a great season regardless, and that home run against
Of
what's his name
course.
in Cleveland was amazing. But
Class A,
my
yeah, yeah.
no, not
Oh
Clase.
no,
Who's
that was
the
yeah, God,
the
why
guy
can't I
with
think of
all
his
the
name?
hair? Forgot his
Yeah, I know.
name. He has a lot of
Not
hair.
Williams. I know. I'll figure it out again, but I know who you're
Yeah.
talking.
But yeah, no, my point being,
Gaddis, Hunter Gaddis.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gaddis or Evan Gaddis. No, not Evan Gaddis. That
No,
was
that's the
somebody
other
else.
one. That's
Yeah.
Gattis.
Yep. Yep.
That's the
Too
Astros
many
guy, Braves
Gaddises
guy.
out here.
Oh, Gaddis,
Um,
Gaddis.
but the point I was gonna make real quick, Ed, is like, well, one, I agree with you. I get it. I'm just busting your balls now. Like, I don't think
Oh
he's
yeah,
gonna
you
get
gotta.
getting a standing ovation. But at the end of the day, like, if say hypothetically the Yankees didn't make him an offer near the Mets or as close to the Mets, or even look to bring him back, which obviously is super hypothetical, but then I think you could argue they would give him a standing ovation. But because the Yankees came so close to the Mets offer and he just chose to walk, that's when you start to dislike a guy.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't that. It was literally peanuts at that point, and they could have matched if they wanted to. Soto wanted out. Soto wanted to be a Met, and that's fine. But it's in the end, that's not a guy that needs to be, yeah, historically revered or even a season removed going across town. Like, nah, you didn't do anything. We didn't win it. If we won it, that would be a different story. We got there though. That's cool. But like, again, we're the Yankees. You're the Mets. That's a World Series for you. Getting there is like winning. You talk about 2015 like it's
No, we have to win.
some wonderful year.
It's been a long
2024 to
time.
us is like a shameful year now. You know what I mean? We look back at 2024 like, ah, gross, yucky. I don't want to think about that year. We lost. You, 2015. Oh man, remember that great year where we almost did it?
Well,
It's
we weren't supposed to be good that. Okay, don't get me down that rabbit hole. We weren't supposed to be good that year. You guys are supposed to be good every year. So
I
you're
mean, that's
always World
true.
Series or bust. You know.
Except 2017. No one expected that, and then we got trashed road. But that's beside the point.
Yeah,
Anyway, I
you got
digress.
you got a little taste of what it's like to be a Mets fan for a year. But
Oh, I didn't know your whole division had been cheating and hitting trash cans for years. I forgot
well,
that's why you suck. Excuse me, that
well,
was so rude.
yeah, that is rude. So we're gonna move on. I'm gonna address that point. But I will say this. Um, I want to say I highlight obviously pitching breakdowns and matchups, and we're going to give you guys, some bold standout performances and some serious predictions on just guys we think will stand out. But before we do so, Ed, I want to look at X factors on both sides and what we just think are keys to victory, whether it's one, two, or three of them that you might have. I'd say we go one for one here, depending on how many you have, obviously. But I have three here that I think the Mets need to make sure that they are doing and make sure that they are. Continuing to do to really have a chance to not only win the series, but maybe sweep. Dare I say
Yeah,
sweep?
I mean, maybe you could possibly, but
It's
probably
always
not.
there's a what do you say? It's healthy to have a level of delusion, but this isn't even
It
a
is.
delusion.
That's true. You can't be quoting me on, one episode, within the same episode. You got to go back to past episodes. That
So
was good.
unoriginal, I know. But all right, I'll pass you the mic here, and you give me what do you think an X factor or key to victory is for the Yankees to not only win the series, but maybe come out with a sweep on your end?
I think the pitching is going to have to be the X factor here. I think it's going to be very difficult, obviously, coming in where our matchups, right? We start off with Miguel and Rodon on Friday. That leads into Canning and Schmidt. So
Oh, we're doing matchups now. All right,
no, I'm
let's
just
go.
talking about these things quickly, and then
Yeah, please.
Peterson and Fry. But that's where pitching is going to matter because again, these are three of your best pitchers, right? Miguel obviously is probably your least effective, and he's got a 3.10 ERA.
Yep.
Canning is up. We've talked about Canning, wax poetic about him. He's your favorite player that's ever existed. You've got his jersey and his number tattooed on your back. And Peterson on Sunday lining up against Max Fried. So I think we're just gonna have to keep you guys in the ballpark. I think our offense can do what it does, and I do believe that we will ultimately, showcase why you guys are not as good at pitching as maybe you think you are. No, I'm kidding. That was not the right use of
We don't
terminology, but
think it's in the stats, baby.
I think we're going to expose some of your pitching flaws, perhaps. And a big X factor in this is Aaron Judge, which I mean really does go without saying. But his numbers against Ryan Stanek in above anybody else in your team. Close game, he comes in late game. Judge owns that boy. So I'm just saying that could be a big X factor in the long run. But I think our pitching, keeping you guys off the board. These are going to be tight games, and I think we're going to find ways to come around with the offense. But I don't see any blowouts happening.
Well, it's a shame because I know you said these are three of our best pitchers, and yes, while our whole rotation is pitching superbly and obviously have low 3 ERAs, so they all look like great pitchers, and they are to some degree, right? But you're getting lucky in missing Sanga and Clay Holmes, who honestly
Yeah, no,
are one
that
and two in the
is
rotation at the end of the day.
Holmes would have been so much better to see. Like I was hoping somewhere along the line that would have been the matchup, just for pure theater.
Yeah, yeah, I would have loved that to have Holmes out there with Soto, just two ex-Yankees playing in the Bronx for the Mets. Like that would have been really nice, just set up, I think. And I think Clay Holmes would have got a standing ovation.
Oh
Correct me
yeah,
if I'm wrong.
I actually think he would have, and I think fans would have said, listen, our bad. We've seen what Devin Williams has struggled with. We get this job is hard. Not everybody is Mariano Rivera, so mad props, Clay. We miss you, my homie. And yeah, again, simply said, pitching is going to be the X factor all around in this series. I think again, you guys haven't pitched in a place like Yankee Stadium against the Yankees. Maybe the Phillies in Philly, but again, early wet days, not getting the Phillies' best offensive performances at that point. So I think this is going to be a real challenge for you guys. And I gotta say, you guys are lucky you're missing Will Warren. My dude shoved
All
today against
right.
the Mariners. 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 hits. He's got 24 strikeouts over his last 17 innings. That dude is finding something, and it's scary for a lot of the rest of the league. It might not seem like, much to be impressed with yet. And his ERA is already down to like a respectable 4.17 or something like that after it was up to in the sixes just 3 or 4 starts ago. So all I'm saying is pitching's coming around. The offense is deadly, as proven. Came back with three big runs today, all off extra base hits against the Mariners pitching staff. So really, you can't ever count this offense out. Big Daddy Grish is going to do some things, keeps doing some things. So anyway, I'm
Okay.
talking too much. X factor is the pitching.
Okay. No, I like it. I like it. And again, like that's kind of where I'm going. And obviously for me, right off the bat, my first X factor and key to victory is the Mets' continued success within the starting rotation, obviously being on the road in a smaller ballpark. I really want to see how that translates. And obviously, again, not getting our two front end guys to line up for the series. Like McGill, I talked about on the last episode, he had a pretty average McGill like start or historical. Historically like McGill, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but
Very
that's
Miguelic.
very McGill like, and I'm hoping he could bounce back from that. And again, I know I touched on it on the last episode that McGill is one of the best pitchers in baseball when he's ahead in the count. So I think the Yankees are, aware of that, obviously with the analytics, nowadays, and they're going to try to jump on that as early as possible. So I think McGill might have to go against the grain and against his typical script and try to mess with what the Yankees might come in to, kind of counter McGill typically being so good when he's ahead in the count. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
obviously the starting rotation in terms of McGill getting right, Canning continuing to do what he's doing. What worries me again, as we always talk about in the pod, I feel like we mentioned at least once an episode, is progressing or regressing to the mean. And in this case, I worry that Canning is bound to regress to the mean, and unfortunately, it feels right for it to happen in a game like this against the best offense in the league at one of the smallest parks in the league. And yes, Canning's been red hot. He has a 2.36 ERA. He is 5-1. He is pitching unconsciously the best, stint of his career. But again, I worry that that can't be continued. So that's again an X factor of mine is to see if he can sustain this success, and if he could have a good outing or even just a economical outing or a quality start, dare I say, like that's huge for a confidence boost to really just drill in the fact that he is here to stay and he's a good pitcher because our pitching lab has helped kind of reshape how he pitches and how he approaches, game to game. So that's definitely an important factor. And then, Sunday night is a big one. We have two lefties on the mound in Well, I always put the explicit content here. So I call him Big Dick Peterson going against Max Fried. That's my guy. I love Peterson. I've always stuck with him. He's looked like a different man since he had that hip surgery. And yeah, I mean, he's showing it this year. Again, 3.05 ERA is really continuing where he left off from the playoff run in 2024. Really good under pressure, big on, his ground ball rate. So that plays well in a ballpark again, like Yankee Stadium, not Yankees Stadium, from what I've heard.
Clarifying.
Um, so again, really need the pitchers to step up and not, sorry, let me backtrack. They don't need to step up. They need to continue doing what they're doing, right? They don't have to be better. They don't have to be worse. Just continue doing what you're doing, and you will give us a chance to win this game. And that segues me perfectly into the Mets just learning to hit better with runners in scoring position. They started to look like they were coming out of it, starting to figure it out. And then they, again, showed what they did these last few games against the Pirates tonight as well. So I think that's, a big one for the Mets and something that's really been their
Achilles heel.
Achilles heel, kryptonite. Yes, thank you. And yeah, their average of runners in scoring position this year at 226. They are the bottom five of the league, which is crazy considering they have one of the best records in baseball. Their OPS is 718 with runners in scoring position. And again, these numbers are even probably skewed more because Pete Alonso has been great with runners in scoring position, and he's really the only one. And yes, some guys have figured out a bit here and there, but it's still sporadic. It's not consistent enough, and you have to be able to get at least one or two in when you have a chance at a big inning. You can't come across with nothing on the board when you have runners on the quarters with no out or one out or a man on second with one out. You got to get at least one there, and especially against a Yankees offense that we know is potent.
Oh yeah.
The Mets got to get after your starters early and really kind of get some consistent traffic going on the bases because I want to get to your bullpen. Honestly, I want to see what you have there, and I know Fernando Cruz has been strong for you guys and Luke Weaver as well. But there's guys in there that are shaky, and I'm sure we could get some licks off of. So the Mets got to get some traffic on the bases, continued success in the starting pitching, and they'll be just fine. I'll pass it back to you if you have another. I did have one more thing I want to touch on there, but I've talked enough as well.
Well, I think just to your point, and talking about our bullpen, you haven't seen it lately. They have been shut down. Another great 4 innings out of them today, 6 strikeouts combined. Fernando Cruz,
Mm.
another shutout inning. Luke Weaver, 3 straight strikeouts. Our bullpen has actually tightened up considerably since the beginning of the season. So you'll be shocked. You got to get your licks in when you can get them. I would say early on in the game is probably your best bet because we have been locking it down.
So is the
Get
Mets,
to
dude.
our
It's kind of
pitchers
crazy.
sooner than
The
later. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy though. Sorry to cut you off, but the trajectory that both teams are on again, it's like a crash course
Oh
for
yeah,
each other.
it's very
Like
similar. So
it's
that's why
weird, man.
they have to play each other because now the Yankees, the last couple of games after that brutal injury to Oswaldo Cabrera, pairs up for Oswaldo, who is the light and
Mm.
heart and soul of that team. Really can't ask for a better type player, versatile, good guy. Is the clubhouse leader. A lot like your Jose Iglesias of last year, but we got this guy for the last few. He's homegrown. Uh, Huge journey to get here. Venezuelan player who worked so hard to again. Anyway, sad to see him go down. Classy of the Mariners to say, prayers up for him just the same. But coming in on a sac fly, trying to get back to first, or to touch home plate in an 11-5 win, didn't even really need that run all that badly. But yeah. Anyway, just sad to see him go down. But my point is, we needed prior, after that, him going down, we had some issues with runners in scoring position the last 2 days until midway through today, 6th inning or so against Luis Castillo. But yesterday, really couldn't push anything across except for late in the game against Munoz, who hadn't given up a run at all for the Mariners this year. And then over the last, again, what, 9, 20 innings, we've put up 4 runs total. So again, we've got the benefit of hitting home runs. A big Goldschmidt pinch hit home run, his first since 2011, August 11th, 2011, which he hit off of Mark Melancon, a former Yankee, and drove in a former Yankee and Met Xavier Nady on that play.
Ooh,
So
legend. Shout out Xavier
tying it
Nady.
all together, yeah, exactly. XX baby. So again, got to keep up with scoring the runs that we do via the home run and with extra bases because that's what the Yankees do best. But manufacturing runs and getting those base hits when we need them, to score the runs and those runners in scoring position against a staunch pitching staff like yours is something we're really going to have to do as well. That's a huge X factor. Can't just rely on the home run.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good rundown and hits the nail on the head, honestly. And again, crash course right now. Again, we're both on a crash course because we're both doing the same thing essentially, both playing great baseball from both sides of the coin here. And the piece I want to touch on is like this is kind of a prove it series, right? And again, we talked about the little brother, big brother narrative that, we're trying to get away from, but it really is just now prove it. Who's better, regardless of what city you're from, or both just playing at very similar levels. It's like, hey, can your top two and what Grisham and Judge outperform our top three and Lindor, Soto, and Alonso? And then whose role players are going to perform best? Brett Beatty
Grisham
is
and Judge. We got more than that. You're talking
nah.
about
I'm
Ben
talking
Rice not
top.
doing anything. We got home runs coming from Cody Bellinger up and down
I'm
the
talking
line.
about
We
the
got
top three,
Wells
top three.
hitting bombs. We got Volpe hitting. Well, top three, all you want. But we got guys that hit home runs up and down our lineup. You don't got to worry about three guys producing because all of our
Okay.
guys produce. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I will say this: the matchups I don't think are super in our favor. Honestly, I know we have to see two of your front end guys in Rodon and Freed and Clark Schmidt. Take it or leave it. I think we could get after him, no problem. But I like. Listen, I like.
Schmitty, you're gonna have
Yeah,
Schmidt on your face after that one. I'll tell you that.
no, I won't. I mean, he's gonna have over a 5 year ERA when we're done with him. But listen,
Oh
I
my
will say,
God, the
I will say this.
disrespect.
Um, I don't want to say I'm glad that we get two lefties because they're two premier lefties in this league, and
I was
Freed,
gonna say, yeah,
being hard to
but
get to. But I will say the Mets have hit lefties better this season, and
we
we're hitting
have.
around 270 with 800 OPS against lefties. Against the righties, I think we're in the 250 range with like a 750 OPS. Um, so yeah,
Which is
I
why
mean,
Schmidt's gonna leave all that Schmidt all over that face of yours, right on that nose.
Brett Beatty will pop two real quick in that short porch in right that we know and love. But no, I think, it's going to come down to it's a lot of things here, right? But I know we talked about the pitching and the timely hitting, but I think it's just going to come down to who has more depth and who is going to step up as a role player, right? And be someone to put a stamp on their Subway Series, right? There's a lot of guys, and we're going to get to this in segment three, on just like the best Subway Series moments, the best Subway Series performances, and like who's going to be that guy this year? Who are we going to look back in 2030 and 2035, like 2025? Remember when Brett Beatty had a 7 home run game and seven at bats is crazy, but
That would be insane. Can you imagine?
I wish. I mean, I hope.
I mean, if that
Delusion.
happens, then we should. Yeah, I was gonna say, if that happens, then you should probably check your pulse because the likelihood of you being alive is very slim.
And honestly, who's closer is a big one. We didn't even touch on, right? Bend but don't break sort of situation. Like Edwin Diaz has been red hot. He's been much better, and he still hasn't blown a save this season. Knock on wood. And he's looking much more reliable than he has in you know early parts of this year and the back end of last year. And it
Yeah.
historically, right? We've had a lot of close games when it comes to Subway Series. They tend to be close. They tend to be exciting. They tend to be up and down, seesaw, back and forth. At least more so, as of late, right? In the past 10 years or so. So
Well, and that makes the key of it all,
yeah,
really, just playing clean games, right? We talked about it a couple, episodes ago. Clean it up, clean it up, clean it up, and that's what's going to come down to for this. And it's what comes down to for any good matchup, right? Who's going to play the cleaner game? Who's going to be tighter? Who's going to clean up their little mistakes that we all know they're, prone to making, right? Yankees used to have base running issues, so we want to clean those up. So they did. Point is, if you have any little thing that is potentially holding you guys back, meaning the Mets or the Yankees, the other team is going to expose that, and they're going to pick at that and look for that. That's what good teams do. It's what good managers do. So, again, knowing that the relief core for the Yankees is rounded into shape, the pitching has gotten more on track. Again, the offense was kind of the no question, no brainer, but you don't want to rely on Aaron Judge, who's got an insane stat line against the Mets in his 25 games of Subway Series play. We can talk about that later, but you don't want to rely just on those things. You want to rely on getting runs when you can, capitalizing when you can, and again, playing fundamental baseball because the realities of these two teams are a hair splits them in terms of talent and ability.
that's it.
And yeah, especially what we're seeing what they're putting out on the field and what they're producing in the first quarter of the season.
Yeah, and well said. I mean, I'm completely in agreement on that. Like a hair really does split the talent on both sides of the city, for lack of a better word, right?
Right.
And like again, like one error, right? One mistake could cost them a game or even the series. And like looking here at just fielding percentages and errors this season, like we're middle of the pack. The Mets have had some rough, ugly games and weird anomalies in terms of fielding performance when we tend to be, pretty strong in that department. And I feel like the Yankees did too. There's been some messy outings early in the season for the Yanks. And yes, maybe colder weather has something to do with that. I think I'm starting to see it be cleaned up more with the Mets. And as you get some more games under your belt, you're just getting more reps. I think that always comes with better, defensive improvements. And, Lindor has been shaky early in the season. Now he's starting to look like Lindor of old. Brett Beatty's starting to take more of the reps at third base as Mark Vientos isn't looking too great at third, but maybe it's a blessing in disguise because Beatty's obviously hitting at the plate as well. He plays a great third. It's his primary position. He's confident there, and we need a DH. Marte's a part-time player, and Winker is on the IL. So, it's a blessing in disguise. You get to play these guys at the same time. They're two good friends who have played through the minors together and they're feeding off each other. And I love that. And just a complete side note, not to get us off track, but I don't know if you saw or heard in the Mets Pirates game last night where it actually ended Senga's earned run streak. I mean, unearned run streak or whatever it is, or
Mm,
however many innings without an earned run. Um,
yeah,
the ground ball went through Vantos's
through
glove,
the
like
yeah, I
through the
saw
hole, dude.
I
And he didn't
saw
change the glove
that.
out, which is crazy.
That
He
is
kept the
insane.
glove.
I mean, what's the likelihood it's going to happen again? But at the same time, I mean, you only have how many gamers, right? I don't know. It's tough. That was a bad look. It was right
But
through the big pocket for the third baseman, so the sand trap can, get
that's
through.
not his fault, though. I mean, he was
It's not
right
his
on it.
fault at all. He made the play. It's
Like
it's
he was
just
he's been shaky, but like that one wasn't his fault. That was just crazy. But you know what the dumbest thing about all of it is,
that's
Ed?
baseball,
It
Susan. Yep.
That's baseball season, but it ruins Senga's streak because they called it a double. Anything that hits off someone's glove is an error, right? So technically, if it's going through the glove, that should be categorized as an error in my book. How is that a double? How is that a hit?
I guess if you hit the ball so damn hard that you couldn't make the play, because that is the truth. They sometimes like that's what the official score is there for. He'll say like, did he have a reasonable expectation to make that play? Right? Was the ball hit too hard?
Yeah, I
Can
can
you
see
blame
that. I
equipment on
guess
an error? Can you say an error is the
equipment
equipment? He
malfunction. I
made, but
guess.
he made the play. You know what I mean? So it's not his fault. So it's not an error. Does that make sense? It would be a shitty error to give him. And if the ball was rocketed that hard, sorry, Senga, like you got hit.
It
It's
wasn't hit.
unfortunate.
I mean, it was hit hard, but it wasn't
Yeah,
anything
I
that's.
know.
It's a weird
That's
one. That's a gray space for sure.
this is where the nitpicking of the game is going to really annoy me moving forward with replay and all this nonsense. It's just like, well, shouldn't it matter for that? Like, I get it, but it's also like these streaks, all these things, in the end, don't mean anything. It's cool, it's sweet, it's great, but like, you got to be able to pitch whether or not you gave up a run here and there. But I get you, I get you. It's just one of those fun,
It was
nuanced
weird.
things of the game. Yeah,
I mean, it
it's
sucks to
fun.
see, but luckily they held on because the Pirates again were abysmal with runners in scoring position. I think we held them to 0 for 15 or something like that. So there's
Shocking.
that. There's that. Yeah, very shocking. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we've touched on a lot. I think it's a good segue, Ed, into who do we foresee being a standout performer, being an X factor in this team, being just that wild card or somebody who maybe, and yeah, it could be somebody that we, maybe an obvious one that you think is going to continue to do what he does. To your point that you alluded to earlier, Aaron Judge's stats within the Subway Series is insane. Just his stats in general are, you know, insane. So I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think it's
he's up to
unreasonable to, yeah,
412 on the season. Just got
that's
to say
crazy.
that
Yeah, it's
on
crazy.
514, right? And it's May 14th, and he's hitting 412 with 15 bombs now. The fuck bomb count is up to
Fuck bomb count. He's carrying it.
24, I think. Yeah, he really is.
Pete hasn't had one in a little bit.
So that's good. Another thing about you guys, your offense is really going to be struggling to put up. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the offense will be fine. Don't even go that way. I think, we should go one for one on what we think or who we think our standout performers will be in the series, whether it's one or two guys. I'll leave that up to you. And then we could go into a series prediction. And we're not going to get all crazy with the scores by game. But we could go and, I feel like we're both going to be a little probably biased here and who's going to win the series, but we'll try our best. We'll give our prediction.
Yeah, I mean, so we're going to lead off with just standout performers, you think, right now?
Yeah, do you want to start or you want me to start? I'll let you
Yeah,
decide.
I'll go with it. I mean, see, it's a tough one because Judge is obviously the easy go-to guy.
Of course.
Goldschmidt, another guy, right, has just been doing everything we need him to do, continues to do it all. Again, mentioned that pitch hit home run today. He's now hitting 346 on the season, so can't say enough good things about those guys. But I guess, I mean, and DJ, got to say this, DJ LeMahieu's back, so he could have a big game or two here and there, but I think he's going to need time to get his footing. I, I say these guys a lot, but I want to give the Martian some more credit. He is doing some
Ooh.
athletic things out there. He hits better from the left side. Canning's due for a letdown. You're going to face some righties there, so I don't know. I'm going to go with the Martian, and I think this series will be separated by the more athletic team. I know our team doesn't seem as athletic in many ways, but it really is. It's young still. It's got so much speed and ability to do all these dynamic things that don't really make them rely on the home run as much as they have been. So I want to see them break out a little bit of that and do more of the athletic things that I think Jason Dominguez has been doing all month long. Hit a big double today to help us get on the board against Luis Castillo. So I'm going to give him big performance, and I'm going to say we're going to win this series 2-1 and the overall season series as well. But we can come to that when that time comes.
I mean, I'm very surprised that you didn't say the Mets to win the series, of course.
What am I supposed to do? Give you that much credit? I could say we'd sweep you guys, but I feel like maybe you'll sneak one in there that we'll find a way to blow on our own.
Well, all right. I guess it's just my turn. I'm going to ignore that. But I will say it. My standout performer X factor, one is pretty obvious, I think, and then I'm going to go a little outside the box to similar to what you did here is obviously a guy like Juan Soto, right? First time
Of
back
course.
in the Bronx, he's going to get booed most likely. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm very curious to see on Friday night at 7 p.m. But he's gotten better in the month of May with his 1,000+ OPS. He's drawing his walks. You're starting to see him hit a little bit more runners in scoring position. His home run totals, starting to creep up there. He's got 8. He's up there, right one behind the team lead with Pete Alonso at
Oh,
9.
all
And
right.
all right, I see the sarcasm there, but just let me set the table here. His
Of
on
course.
base is still, under 400, but right around 400, mind you. And he's starting to look like Juan Soto of old. And now I think he's just gonna have a little, whether he says it or not. Obviously, we see how he approaches the game, right? We talked about this a couple episodes ago, where he was being criticized online for not being that overly emotional or super celebrated team leader or goofy guy like Alonso or Lindor. Are we smiling? Like he's a different personality. Maybe he's more introverted. He's more business driven when he's on the field. He's locked in, right? He's focused and he's playing the game how the right way. He's playing it respectfully. He's not being an asshole. He's just not maybe Lindor or he's not Soto. He just leads differently by example, like a DeGrom.
Yeah, and no
Um,
one, I don't think anybody wants him to do anything out of character or like be a different
yeah, be
person,
yourself.
obviously. Yeah, absolutely. And no one's worried about him not being a good guy and being the same Juan Soto. I don't think anybody's worried about that. And listen, the media fodder with, oh, he's not happy here. He's not, it's just, that's Yankee fans and a lot of just people trying to stir some nonsensical shit. But
Yeah,
in
and
reality, yeah, he lets his play do the talking.
that's exactly right. And where I was going with that, my long-winded approach here is that I think regardless if he says it or not, deep down it's going to light a fire under him to play well in the Bronx. If anything, it might spark additional strong performances coming out of that series, right? And continuing to be hot in May and then heading into the summer and the warmer months. So, look out for Soto to have a big game, excuse me, a big series, not just one game.
Hmm.
And outside of Juan Soto, some guys I want to highlight again is Brett Baty, who continues to stay hot and continues to show that, maybe he should be here. He is now showing what AAA Beatty looks like in the MLB, what spring training Beatty looks like. He has 5 home runs on the season now. I think 4 of those have come in the last 3 or 4 days. So he is red hot. He's hitting, I think, 370 plus in the last 4 games. And, I hope he doesn't cool off. I hope he could continue to prove to us as a fan base that this is what we've been waiting for all these years. This is why we've kept giving him chance after chance. So I'm excited to see what he could do. And he is one of my X factors in stand-up performances because I truly think that he's figuring it out and he's going to continue to perform well at the big league level. But the one thing I guess nuance to this is you might not see him that much in the series because we got 2 lefties on the mound. So I think I just kind of
Exactly.
backed myself into a corner there and I just started to think it through. But I will say when he is in the game and when he does face the righty, he'll definitely start the game against Clark Schmidt. He is going to perform. But again, with 2 lefties on the mound, I have one more X factor for you. He's one of my favorite players as a Met. You could probably guess. Francisco Alvarez, since he's come back from
Hmm.
injury, he's been sneaky consistent, playing a great, calling a great game behind the plate as we know he could do, throwing some runners out, looking much better on that front. He's just looking like a great defensive catcher and really coming into his own there. But at the plate, yes, it's quiet, but it's consistent. He's hitting 280, only 1 home run, 7 RBIs. Again, he's only been back for a little bit now. He's only played 14 games, so still trying to get his feet up under him. And he's just starting to get it all figured out and starting to feel comfortable again at the plate. And I think this is a big series for him because he loves the big moment. He is made for the big moment. Just look at him and his personality in some of these games and walk offs and Kodiak moments that he's had in a Mets uniform in his early parts of his career. So look out for him to have a huge game and utilize the opposite way in that short porch and right.
All right. Well, you can keep dreaming, mate, but we'll be there to watch and we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah. Oh
I
wait,
have
I
a
didn't give
funny
my
feeling we'll
prediction.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, sorry.
You're
After
still
you.
dreaming, whatever you got to say.
I mean, no surprise here. The Mets are going to win the series 2-1 behind great pitching, continued great pitching by Griffin Canning, David Peterson. This is another bull take. He is going to get the win on Sunday night in the rubber game against Max Fried. And yes, I'm not
Oh.
saying them. I'm not going to be that crazy and say the Mets are going to tattoo Max Fried. But Ed, we're all forgetting something. We've seen Max Fried for years in a Braves uniform. We know what he does. We are familiar with his pitches. The Mets have plenty of reps against him, and you know that means something.
Yeah, but this is a different Max Fried, and I think we can all point to that. He hasn't started any time of his career with a 1.11 ERA through eight
That's
starts. He
that is
also
fair.
shut down the Mariners once again after what he would consider probably a shakier start for him, and that's giving up 1 run in 5 innings. So you can keep dreaming all you want. He's again in his prime. I can give you all the reasons why I think that Max Fried is not the Max Fried you think he once was. He is an evolved version. He is reaching that Maddox stage of his career where he knows he doesn't have to blow people away. He can do this cerebrally. He can get outs economically, and yeah, he's got the numbers, and you've got a different team than he's pitched against in the past too. So all those factors considered, yeah, keep dreaming.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey, guess what? We could dream all we want, but we're gonna see how it shakes out starting Friday night. And again, I can't reiterate enough how happy I am that we have a weekend Subway series. It's gonna be crazy.
I am so jealous of all the New Yorkers who will be sticking around. I have to fly to Chicago for a family graduation, so I will be doing my best to keep tabs from afar and during events, no doubt. But
Just go to a White Sox game. It's the same thing.
God, they have Cubs, so Cubs and White Sox are in town at the same time, which would be really cool at Wrigley, and I don't have time to go. So that's
Ah,
just,
that
yeah,
would be
all
cool,
kinds of
actually.
things are frustrating me in that respect. But hey, you do things for family, you sacrifice, and
That's it. You got
let's
that
just hope
right.
that my sacrifice is leading to a big 3-game sweep. And again, we're going to the hometown of the new Pope, big White Sox fan himself. So maybe we'll get some extra blessings.
And I will say, Ed, I'm not gonna promise this to the fans and the listeners, but I know we said Sunday night in the final game of that series, being a night game, we're gonna try our best to go live watching this together because I think that would be
Oh yeah, we'll be coming
great.
from the airport, baby. It's going to be
Yeah, yeah, I know you'll
sexy,
be coming off the airport, you'll be tired,
nice
so
and
we'll
sweaty.
we'll play it by ear. You're gonna be looking crazy. We're going live on video, Ed, so be ready.
Hell yeah, let's
Put the
go.
Mets cap
I'm
on.
ready.
Don't
You
worry.
might not be, but I'll be.
No, I'll be ready. I'll be ready. I'll be decked out in Mets gear, ready to go on a Sunday night. You kidding me?
Let's go.
Very sore from whatever Sunday
Yeah,
morning
from
baseball game.
whatever
Yeah,
painful damage we do to your rear ends, that's for damn sure. Oh, sorry, I don't know what.
that's yeah.
Yeah,
Come on, it's
all right.
2025. I guess it's all
Yeah,
right.
I meant like good smacks on the
I
butt,
get
like
it.
baseball. Good job, good job, good game,
Oh,
good game.
is that what you meant?
Yeah, yep,
Oh,
exactly.
okay, got it. Makes sense.
What could I have meant?
But
What were
I
you
think
thinking?
this. Don't worry about it. But I think this has been a great rundown. Yeah, I know we moved quick. I know there's a lot going on. We just want to be sure to kind of fit it all in and into a condensed midweek episode for you guys. But before we move on, before we let you go, we want to highlight some of the best Subway Series moments um, and single game performances. Ed, I know you had a bunch or a couple notes, on your end in terms of single player
Well, it
performances.
wasn't even single performances. It was more like who's been the best performers over their
So
careers historically. So I'll just give you a couple. I'll throw some out, but I know you got some actual moments you wanted to chuck out there. So we
yeah, I was gonna
can
say,
however you want to go about it.
how do you feel about me just giving my top three moments, and that might segue well into whatever performances you have, because it might tie into some of those games
Yeah.
or years. And if
Yeah,
they
I'll give
don't,
you a little
they don't.
historical
But
context. That'll be my 2 cents. I dig it.
I'll give you my top five, and I ranked them.
Let's go.
But I'll go quick. Number one, and I'm not. These are pretty unbiased. There's a mix here, and yeah, you'll see it's unbiased. First one doesn't sound unbiased, but it's Lindor's three home run game in 2020. And I mean, he's the first
Shocking.
player ever. I mean, come on, first player ever did a three home runs in a Subway Series game. That was an insane game. There was a benches clearing moment after all the jawing with Stanton. They went up and down, back and forth with home runs. I just remember him flexing to Stanton rounding second base on that third home run that gave the Mets the lead. And dude, the dancing on the dugout, waving the flag, that was an all-time Subway Series performance. And the day after 9/11, where they had such a great tribute in New York on September 11th in 2021. So it was just really fitting and really just an electric atmosphere and moment for the fan base. So brings me to my second one. And now you probably think I'm biased on that first one. But listen, number two, Luis Castillo drops the pop-up.
Oh
Fuck
yeah.
me. I can't even talk about this, but 2009, A-Rod hits a routine pop-up. We all know how it goes. We all relive it. It's, before I go to bed every night, I think about this one. Two outs in the ninth. Castillo drops it, two-run score. I just hear, remember, he dropped the ball. That's all I hear. That's all I hear.
Yep.
One of the most infamous endings in Mets history,
I'll never
honestly.
forget where I was watching at my buddy's place. No one else could have cared about the game. I was like ready to turn it off and pure elation.
So that,
Teixeira comes around to score, A-Rod
oh
being the one who hits
God.
it. Yeah,
When
beautiful.
that ball's in the air, what did you think? Oh, game's over? Well,
Oh,
obviously, right?
absolutely.
Pop up.
Absolutely. And Castillo is a sure-handed second baseman, beat us in the '03 World Series. Always liked him on it on our side, and yeah, blew it. Loved it. First
Lost in
first
the.
year of the new stadium too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Lost in the lights. Stupid
That's it,
stadium.
baby. That's it.
Number three, though, back to the Mets. David Wright's walk-off in '06 against Mariano Rivera. 106 was a magical year until it wasn't. Obviously, we know how that ended for the Mets in heartbreaking fashion with the hanging curveball. Don't
Well
okay.
deserved.
That's all. No, not well deserved. That's all we gotta say there. But again, Wright hit a walk-off single against again one of the greatest closers of all time. That's all that really needs to be said there. Just a really big signature moment for Mets fans at Shea. Number four, Judge's walk-off single at Yankee Stadium in 2022. Both good seasons for the Mets and the Yankees. A very highly anticipated Subway Series in front of a packed house. Judge hit the walk-off, and that was, again, some MVP magic because that was the year he won the MVP.
I had a babe.
And number five, finishing it off with my Mets, where they sweep the Yankees at Citi Field in 2022. Max Scherzer dominates. Marte walked it off, and the Mets grabbed city bragging rights, baby, with the playoff level atmosphere in 2022. But again, that year ended in heartbreaking fashion as well in the wild card round, as we know. But regardless, that was fun.
I
So
still think number one resonates as that fly out by Mike Piazza to Bernie Williams in October 2000.
no, I
And
left that
I
off
think
the
that's
list.
the secure shining moment. Yeah, that was a good list, though. I appreciate where you're coming from, and I wish I had a list to combat with, but
That's all
I'll
right.
just instead give you the credit and say I appreciate you giving us some consideration. I know you left out some big moments because Derek Jeter owned that Subway
Yes. But you
Series.
know what? I'm also trying to be more recent because, yeah, we know how it went in the 90s and the early 2000s. I get
Oh
it.
my goodness.
I
All right.
get it.
Recency bias, always ruining
Give
things.
me, give me your single performances. I don't know. You probably have all Yankees too. I'm
It's
sure
not
you're
even single
biased.
performances. I just wanted to highlight some of the best players out there, have
Please.
done it in the past. And, one guy that this one was actually just one for fun that, compare the third base. Who are the best performers at third base? Because we got A-Rod and we got David Wright from that period of time that we were growing up, right? And I think I'm going to give the edge to A-Rod because the reality is he played 59 games. Their time in the league overlapped perfectly. David Wright making his debut in 2004, ending his career in 2018. A-Rod came to the Yankees in '04 and retired in 2016. So their entirety of their Subway Series careers were played against each other. And A-Rod comes out with a slight edge, but David Wright had a pretty incredible stat line in those performances just the same. So again, A-Rod in 59 games, 310 batting average, 401 on base, 13 home runs with a 929 OPS, 37 runs scored and 111 total bases to David Wright, who had a 305 with a 366 on base, 9 home runs, four fewer, and 104 total bases with 33 runs scored and an 878 OPS. So pretty mirror images. This came from an article I was reading who had the best performances position by position, and this one was just one that I thought was, intriguing, and they gave it to David Wright. Sorry to say, he can't have the edge because A-Rod had the better numbers. And would
Mm,
it surprise anybody to say that Aaron Judge is already close to surpassing A-Rod's totals in half the time? 25 games for Judge in the Subway Series, 314 batting average, 406 on base, nearly 100 points lower than his batting average and on base right now, by the way. 12 home runs, 22 RBIs, 1.185 OPS, and 67 total bases in those 25 games. So, some pretty incredible performances there. And really, what I wanted to go back to is the history of the Subway Series, going all the way back to the 1920s when the Giants, the New York Giants, baseball Giants, faced off against the Yankees at the Polo Grounds, a home they both shared in the 1921 World Series, which was a 3-0 win by our Yankees. They also won their first ever Subway Series matchup against the Dodgers, another crosstown rival. 1941 World Series, a 3-2 game at Yankee Stadium. Yankees win. They won the first two meetings, but in the third, the first ever matchup, the third time they had against a New York team. It would be against your Mets nearly 56 years later, after the 1941 World Series, of course. The Mets shut out the Yankees 6-0 at Yankee Stadium, June 16th, 1997, in their first ever matchup. The Yankees and Mets had never played before. Interleague didn't exist, and they had never matched up in the World Series. So their first ever game was a 6-0 shutout by the Mets of the Yankees in the Bronx. And yeah, not what you want to see. It was a complete game 9-hitter by Dave Malicki. He also racked up 8 strikeouts, whiffing Jeter, second baseman Pat Kelly, and Cecil Fielder twice each. That is, yes, Cecil Fielder, dad to Prince Fielder.
Big
So,
baby Prince.
and we talked about number 46. Andy Pettitte was on the other side of this matchup, and he was tagged for 5 runs in 7 innings of work, giving up 3 of those in the first inning before a John Olerud 2-run single in the 7th inning ended his night. Olerud had 3 RBIs in the game, another former player for both the Yankees and the Mets. And the rest is history. And the Yankees, again, have an 80-59 all-time advantage, 84-60 record if you count World Series play. So just
Yeah,
want to
before
tie
you
it all up
continue,
with that
sorry,
stuff.
that was
No,
that was
that's pretty
amazing.
much
That
it.
was no, that was amazing, by the way. But the best New York player to wear number 46, Oliver Perez. Don't
Not
forget about
Griffin
it, Sweet
Canning. I'm
Ollie.
shocked. I'm
Well,
shocked it's
Griffin
not Griffin
Canning,
Canning.
he needs to get a few more seasons under his belt and a few more months under his belt, a few more games under his belt. Oh,
Well,
but
it's
Ollie, don't forget about Ollie.
you got to throw him in. He's a well-deserving candidate to be
He had
mentioned in
15
this
wins in
time.
2007, which is hilarious. You forget about
Dude,
that.
he was impressive for a very long time, and to resurrect his career as a
Uh,
reliever for as long as
unt-
he did, that dude's
yeah,
yeah, he's done some stuff. Also, originally a pirate, so tying that together as you
there we
play the
go.
Pirates
And
right
we
now.
are losing for nothing, so I don't think we're gonna have the happy
Let's
drive
go.
home. But you never know. The Mets are, pretty prone to late game heroics, so you never know, Ed. But I just want to say this is a honor and a privilege to have our first Subway Series on the BAB and kind of do this together. And yeah, I mean, I know we're gonna keep fine tuning this thing as we go, but it's pretty exciting to have, the first series of what this really is all about, right? New York baseball and what comes with that and the passion behind it. So,
Oh yeah.
I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm gonna be at the bar Friday night with some of my buddies, eating a bunch of barbecue and watching the Mets beat up on the Yankees and McGill taking a no hitter into the 7th inning with an 8-run lead.
I will be eating a Chicago dog in celebration of the Mets
Ooh.
losing to the
So,
Yankees. But that's all it'll have to be.
what do you like on your Chicago dog? I never
I'll
had
take it
one.
as everything that comes with it. It's the sport pepper, the onions, the pickle, the tomato. It's just a big loaded hot dog. It's basically like, a hamburger hot dog. You know what I mean? But it's delicious. It's
Ooh,
very good. I was
sounds
never a
good
big
to
fan,
me.
but my buddy made me eat them for, a couple times hanging out, and he was like, "Dude, trust me." So now when I'm in Chicago, you get a Chicago dog, but still nothing beats a regular Nathan's foot long with some mustard,
Ooh.
ketchup, and sauerkraut.
No, you're not wrong about that, but you always need a toilet nearby.
Oh, damn straight about that. And speaking of toilets, these referees have been absolute
What's the
horse
score
poop.
over there?
We got a 99-80 game, and it's just where we want them. 20-point almost deficit with
Oh, you're
9 to go
losing.
in
Oh,
the
wow.
fourth. But hey, this is how we do our business. We are going to find a way to pull out the win and shock them and leave them here in Boston, I think.
Well, I'll let you go try to watch a comeback there. I'm going to try to watch a comeback at City Field. So, with that, Ed, that concludes episode 12 of the special edition of the Big Apple Battle,
Subway
midweek
Series,
edition of
baby.
the Subway Series, baby. First weekend Subway Series in a while. So, everyone, please drink responsibly, drive safe, and yeah, talk your shit. And let's go, Mets, LGM, blue and orange. Let's roll.
Get wrecked and don't get any cars with any strange-looking Mets fans. They do not have candy for you. It is not the place you want to be.
My pockets will be full of candy, Ed. Don't you worry about it.
Oh God, please stay away. If they're not navy pinstripes, they're
Uh,
not meant for you.
Well, guys, that's funny. But guys, either way, we will see you next time on the BAB. Please follow, like, subscribe, rate, review, email, whatever you want to do to get in touch with us because we want to hear from you. And yeah, we'll be back to wrap up this series, whether it's Sunday night or Monday, to see how this thing goes down. So with that, enjoy it and let's go.
The Yankees win. The Yankees win. Let's go, Knicks tape. Let's win this thing, baby.
This ball is crushed. Man, what a shot.